Hi, this is Attorney Walter Hnot. Are you ready to run some hearing questions? Perfect. Give me one moment. Okay, good sir. So basically, a couple of details. Make sure you give a fake name. There's no attorney-client privilege structured by this. And as we go through it, you can interrupt me at any time and ask me what was the trick question part of it or any particular thing about it. Good sir, go ahead and state your full name, fake name for the record.
K-Mac.
Excellent. J-Mac, can you answer for me, what is your date of birth and current age?
Well, I'm around 60. I was born in 61, so 61 makes me, 58, 59?
Okay. So now, right off the bat, my attorney brain is saying, okay, he's in the 55 to 59 in the day before 60 category. If he's 59, I can negotiate with the judge to get the 60 to 65 category, which means element 5 of this whole disability process disappears. And element 5 means we don't care if you can do other work in the national economy. We only care if you can do the work you once did. So let's roll through these questions, and then I'll tell you basically what was good, what was, an issue, things like that. So good sir, walk me through this. What is your most severe impairment?
Well, I've had 4 TIAs, which are strokes, of course, many strokes. I've got to get both my knees. I've had one hip replaced. I've got to get the other hip replaced. Both my knees got to be replaced. These are from the military. I have a loss of memory. I have tinnitus. I have a loss of hearing in my left ear. And I have headaches and things of that sort all the time. I have high blood pressure. And there's something else. So much I got, I can't remember right now. But the main thing is those things that I told you. And I'm 100% disabled through the military.
Okay.
Permanent and total.
All right. So now, have you already filed? Are you about to have a hearing? Where are you at in the process?
I've filed, and I'm on my second appeal because I just filed and I just let the attorney group. I haven't spoken to an attorney, just the folks that work for the attorney, and I just let them handle it. And I try to go on every day. I'm not working. I haven't worked since May 18th. Okay. And it's just, it's becoming to be, a little annoying now that I'm having to send in these papers, paper after paper, these documents, and I'm not getting anything. But
right.
The pay from the military, is my only income, and it does help.
Sure.
So it's not that I'm after the pay or anything. It's just that I thought because of my condition, I should be getting some sort of and this is something I was told by one of my other veteran friends that you should be getting Social Security with all your ailments and all your issues.
What I'd like you to do is, and this is aside from the questioning, and I do a bad job with these because I want to beat you guys up, but at the same time, because of what I do, I just want to tell you how to fix it. I need you to write down the following statute. Do you have a pencil and paper with you there?
I am going to get one right now.
Perfect, good sir. I'm just going to give you the specific critical case analysis statute for you to go ahead and use for a VPAT, and then we'll also talk about the MCWW, which is the Wounded Warrior / military casualty type of claim. All right, so when you're ready, let me know, and I'll give you the statute that you can use to help speed up the claim and get.
Okay.
Perfect. It is I as in igloo -2-1-40, specifically subsection A, subsection 2, and also subsection A, subsection
2, and then subsection A, and subsection 3.
Perfect. So what are these? The first one, too, is a veteran 100% permanent and total impairment. That's where the VA will go ahead and say, hey, look, we collected all the percentages of his impairments, and they equate to an inability to work. So if you have a 90%, that means you could still potentially work. But 100%, right, that means total and complete permanent impairment. You ain't working, you're serious, you can't do stuff, okay? So what does that mean? Under the Social Security Code, basically they will speed up a claim and almost auto-approve them if you are a VPAT 100%. A VPAT 100% is where, when you have all of your percentages that add up to 100, the SSA looks at it and says, okay, we agree with the VA. The VA is right. His impairments are severe. We take that as evidence. We bolster the weight that he is likely severely impaired, and therefore we're going to find a finding of disability for him. So, has your attorney currently filed you for an expedited allowance under the I-2-1-40 subsection A2 VPAT for 100% VA impairment?
That I wouldn't know because I haven't spoken to the attorney. I've only spoken to one of the agents that work there.
Okay.
And the only thing that they told me is I need to fill out these forms again. And fill out these forms is my pain level, my capability of performing day-to-day functions and things of that sort. That's it.
Okay. All right. So basically, if you are at an appeal at this point, right, because you got your first denial, you're now appealing into reconsideration. If you're at that point with this thing, then you should have already been filed for that I-2-1-40 subsection A2 100% VPAT allowance. So with that said, it would be something that I might, as you suggest, to go bug your attorney/attorney folk about getting that done, because man, it's going to speed up the whole process. Have you provided to them your 100% VPAT form from the VA? Like, do you have where it says,
Yes,
like,
sir, I have.
okay, cool. So go ahead and ask them to submit it under that code, and it should speed up the process. Now, how long did it take for your first initial adjudication to get your first denial, from when you filed to you got a denial?
I filed as soon as I started working in May of last year, and I'm now going with an appeal tonight. And after I was denied, I contacted the office and I asked them. I said, "Listen, guys, I don't want you guys to do this anymore. Y'all just stop, and then I'll just look around for someone else that can actually help me." And I was going to try to go through the Wounded Warrior Project, but they actually filed the appeal before I can get a letter in to them, and I got a letter in the mail stating that they had already filed the appeal. So I didn't know if at that time I could just still go on and ask them, or to discontinue services for me, or if I had to wait for this next appeal to go through. So during this time,
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh yeah, you can fire them at any point, whether they file an appeal or not. The bottom line is that if you wanted to switch attorneys or go through the Wounded Warrior Project or any one of those things, you could do that. Here's the kicker. You want to go ahead and file for that VPAT allowance. You want to go ahead and make sure all your DDS documentation is done. And you want to specifically get a hold of your DDS rep and point out to them that you are 100% VPAT. Now, of your 100%, which is the largest percentage?
The traumatic brain injury.
Okay.
70%.
Okay. So the TBI, and just to go through that real quick, is this a multiple instances situation or a singular incident?
I think it was a single. Yeah, it was a singular. I don't even remember it happening because they said I was unconscious. But I don't remember it happening. Yes, sir.
Okay.
But it was a singular time. Yes.
Okay. So if it was a singular incident, how long ago was it from today?
It was in 1980.
Oh man, that was way, way back. How many jobs have you worked since then? His TBI must have not been that bad as to limit him to actually continue working. Now tell me now, within the past 2 years or since you stopped working, why it's worse than it ever was before.
Well, I have a lot of headaches. My memory is failing, which is what I've got to go and talk to my doctor again about. My memory is getting really bad. I have headaches on a daily basis, and I get dizzy. I'm taking medication for dizziness, so I get dizzy daily, 2 or 3 times a day when I'm standing, or even when I'm laying in the bed. When I'm sitting, I don't get the dizzy spell, but standing and laying down, I get dizzy spell.
Okay. All right. So here's my concern. Was there a particular occurrence that happened just as you were ending your work, your vocational, track, that made it worse? Or were there other impairments that became worse that made it so that you couldn't work in the national economy?
There was an incident, which it was a couple of incidents that happened, but the most recent one was when I was going upstairs. I got dizzy and my chest started hurting, and I sat down on the stairs. Someone came in, and then next thing I know, I was waking up. I was in the hospital for 3 days. I didn't wake up in the hospital. I was admitted into the hospital for 3 days. The doctor said it was stress and fatigue.
Okay.
And I was a manager, so it's not like because I can't do very much lifting. My knees don't allow me to. Neither does my hips. But that was the most recent incident, which I think happened maybe a year ago at best.
All right, so we got a recent emergency visit. You were unconscious, which means we have to supply to the SSA third-party statements as to what happened. Did you get from alternative parties, the people who were there when it happened, a written statement on a 795, which is a statement of claimant form, specifying what happened to you?
No, I did.
Okay, so
and I wasn't unconscious going upstairs. I just basically got dizzy and I sat down on the stairs and I started having chest pains and my left arm started bothering. I didn't get unconscious then. My unconscious time was maybe a few years ago when I was sitting down at Hooters to sit down and have some food to eat. Mm-hmm. And next thing I know, I was waking up in the back of an ambulance being transported to the hospital.
Okay. So multiple occasions. Now, I'm going to ask you questions just like a judge would. Let's see how you do throughout this process. Good sir, go ahead and mention for me, what are the top 5 impairments that you have that limit your ability to work?
I feel like the top 10 impairments I have the fact that I can only walk a certain amount of distance, I can only sit a certain amount of time, and my level of concentration is very, very is impaired. The fact that it's hard for me to kind of actually follow instructions when I'm reading it. I follow instructions if I hear it, but reading instructions is a little tough for me. And number 5, I can't think of number 5. My hearing. I have to wear hearing aids, and I have hearing impairment.
Okay, so a lot of those were symptoms of impairments. The last one was a hearing impairment because of the tinnitus that you spoke of. So, for example, your TBI, hypertension, tinnitus. Walk me through, what are the top 5 impairments, not symptoms, that you have that limit your ability to work in the national economy?
Again, my hips having to be replaced. One has been already replaced. My knees having to be replaced. My ability to stand and lift. Ability to keep up with reading instructions and follow them carefully. Memory, another thing. Hearing, and the fact that I get headaches throughout the day, and my concentration gets somewhat impaired. Okay.
Not bad. Work on it, because reading, right? The ability to read is a symptom of an impairment. It isn't an impairment. Right? It is the symptom of impairment because you said your hips, because you said your knees, things like that. So let me ask you this. Do you have a walker, wheelchair, cane, crutch, anything like that prescribed to you?
I have a cane that I've been prescribed, a brace. I have a brace that I've been prescribed, and I still have the walker from the hip surgery. That was prescribed, but of course I kept it because I got to get the knee done next, and then the other hip, and then the other knee.
Okay. So when you were prescribed the cane, was it a single prong or a 4-prong?
Single prong.
So you were talking about balance issues before. Why don't you have the 4-prong?
I asked for that, and the doctor said, let's try this first. And I haven't been back to talk to him about it.
Do me a favor, go to the emergency room, ask for a prescription for a 4-prong, ask for an updated prescription for your walker, and also ask for a prescription for your shower stool in your shower. That way you've covered the basis of things that show objective evidence of why you can't stand for long periods.
Okay.
Perfect. Next thing I want you to do, good sir, walk me through this. What medications are you taking? What are they for? And what side effects do you get from them?
Okay, I'll have to look at these. I know I am taking hypertension, blood pressure medication. let's see. Cholesterol medication, which is the atorvastatin. Dizziness medication, which is the meclizine. The dizziness medication gives me a weird stomach feel. High blood pressure medication, which is amlodipine or dipine. Amlodipine. Yeah. Blood pressure, water pill, which is the spironolactone. I'm prescribed vitamin D3. I'm prescribed fluticasone for my allergies. Losartan for blood pressure.
Mm-hmm.
And the dollar thing. Losartan. Yep, that's it.
Okay. What I need you to do is I need you to go ahead and look up each medication, figure out how they pronounce the name, look up each medication, find out specifically what each one is for, and then look up each medication's side effects, pull 2 side effects from each, have a list so that you can go ahead and say those side effects to a future medical expert if you're going to be seeing another one.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So let's do this. So good sir, we just covered the impairments you have. We covered the medications that you take. Walk me through this. What was the last job you had?
I worked as a hospitality manager for Hilton.
Okay. As a hospitality manager, what did you do as part of the job requirements?
I basically hire, fire, schedule, converse with the guest about issues, solve the issues with the guest. The typical managerial responsibilities for 32 people, 2 departments. There was a lot of walking required, up and down the stairs from one floor to the other because the elevator took so long, and I had to actually move quickly to get to the different guests. So that was pretty much it. Place orders for materials and supplies and things of that sort.
Okay, so when you talk about the job you once did, don't make it seem bigger and better, or even as big and amazing as it was. Make it direct and to the point and summarize, but don't go over the top with it. Because the problem is if you talk about how all these mega amazing things were, you're giving yourself more and more skills that they can use to give you other jobs that you could potentially do in the national economy. So just be careful with how you say, like, oh, it was over 32 this, and it was multiple divisions, and it was da-da-da-da-da. Just be careful with your skill set, because the more you build it, the more they can attack you with it. Okay. Next thing that's really important, as you go through this process, well, let's hit you with another tough question. Good sir, do you smoke?
No.
Do you drink alcohol?
I do.
Okay. So is it wine? Is it beer? Is it some sort of, spirit?
3.
How many beers do you drink a week?
A week, maybe 3, 4.
Maybe 3 or 4. How many wine glasses do you drink a week?
Oh, geez, that's like maybe 2 a month.
2 a
maybe
month?
Once a month.
Okay.
And sometimes not even a month.
Okay. So what is your alcohol of choice? Is it spirits? Is it beer?
Yeah, Scotch.
Scotch. Okay, Scotch. How many shots of Scotch do you do a week?
During the week, maybe 1. On the weekend, maybe 3 or 4.
Okay, gotcha. All right, that's a good answer. Now let's follow it up. So how many shots of Scotch did you have tonight?
None.
What about yesterday?
None.
What about the day before that?
None.
And the day before that?
Maybe 2 or 3.
Okay. So we got like 4 days back, 2 or 3. And then what about the day before 4 days back, 5 days back?
Jeez, I can't remember that far.
Okay. Was it because of the drinking?
I'll be honest with you. No, because I don't get drunk. That's just it. I don't get drunk. I just like to taste the Scotch.
So you see how the judge would go at you with that, and they would say, okay, is it because of the drinking? Is it because of the this? Is your memory limited because of what you're drinking? So just be careful when you present your claim to the judge as to how many you drink in a week. Because, if we're at 3 in one day, and then you get 2 on another day, and then you get 1 more on another day, well, all of a sudden we're at 6, which is more than the 4 you originally told me. Okay.
Right.
Now with this, do you have any difficulty with cooking, cleaning, paying bills or doing laundry?
Actually, I don't do laundry. My wife handles that. I do go out and change the cycles and things of that sort, but my wife actually takes the laundry to the laundry room, and she goes and puts the laundry in and takes it out. I change the cycle sometimes when I hear the buzzer go off or whatever. Sometimes I do move it from the washer to the dryer. The yard work, we have a yard guy to come in and take care of the yard work. I have robots to do the sweeping, and robots to do the mopping. That's pretty much it. Yeah, and paying bills. No, I don't have a problem with paying a bill.
Mm-hmm.
But my wife has kind of asked me, "Did you pay this bill?" And sometimes I have forgotten, and then I'll go in and do it, and sometimes she'll just do it herself. But she try to keep me, kind of keep me alert by assigning the bill, paying to me one bill, and she takes care of the other.
So it sounds like you can do a lot of stuff still. I mean, you can still do some stuff,
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not an invalid. No, that's for sure.
Okay.
I can't get up and I can drive, but I can only drive for about maybe 15 minutes, and I have to get out, stretch my knee, and then I can get back on it.
All right, so you can still do stuff. You can still pay bills. You can still function. So, okay. Your wife helps you out with laundry. You could probably lift a gallon of milk without issue, right? Just a gallon of milk.
Yeah,
okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. You could probably walk more than 20, 30 feet, probably even 100 feet.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Do you think you could walk a football field?
I could put forth an effort to do it. I would be killing myself to do it. But I could do it. I could put forth the effort, but at the end of that, I would be in so much pain on my right knee that I would want to shoot myself. I mean, that's just talking.
No, I got you. Yeah. So
I wouldn't do that.
yeah. No, it was with a BB gun, nothing more. Gotcha. Yeah.
Back to the bubble gum.
Yeah. Yeah. All right,
Yeah.
so what I've done there in that short period of time is that I proved you can do household tasks. I proved that you can walk far enough to do a light sedentary or a light-based job. I proved that you can do work in the vocational environment. And unless you are 59, about to be 60, I've just gotten you found not disabled. So here's what to watch out for.
Okay. Right.
When it comes to cooking, cleaning, laundry, or paying bills. You have difficulty with paying bills because you have memory issues. You have a hard time remembering what was paid, what. When it comes to laundry, you have a hard time lifting things due to your knees, your hips, your back. You have to go article by putting them into the washer and the dryer. You cannot lift an entire basket, nor can you lift the entire soap load. When it comes to doing kitchen-related activities, you leave things on that you shouldn't. You leave doors open. You forget to turn things off, and you are unable to follow multiple instructions because the medication makes you woozy and tired. When it comes to cleaning, you have a difficult time reaching up high because of the back pain, so you can't dust up high. When it comes to vacuuming, you have a hard time pulling the vacuum backwards because it strains your hips and your knees. When it comes to cleaning a room, you have a hard time moving carpets, rolling carpets, or moving furniture due to the weight of them. And a gallon of milk is around 8 or 9 pounds, and you have a hard time lifting it with one hand for an extended period. You could maybe do it 2 or 3 times in one day, but after that, you wouldn't be able to lift that arm for the rest of the day.
Sound like my wife.
Perfect. Man, she's a smart lady, let me tell you. I like this one. Yeah. That's good. Excellent. So the thing is, and the gentleman that's actually part of this whole YouTube live event is Dr. Spock, and he pointed out too, you also through those statements could show that you had the capacity to drive. So let me ask you a couple questions there. So if you can drive, right, could you potentially, could you potentially drive out of the county?
Yes.
What about the state?
I I tried that, and my wife had to take over.
Okay. So how far was driving out of the state for you?
We were going to Alabama, and I had to get out of the truck about maybe 10, 15 times to stretch my knee. We rented a truck, and I had to keep getting out, stopping, and pulling over till she just decided to go and take over.
Now, I'm a truck guy. I loves me a truck. I got a 7.3 extended bed, extended cab, dually, F350. Love it. I got a 59 Chevy short bed, deluxe, big window in the back. She's a fleet side. Love her. Oh, yeah, I give her kisses every night. So let me ask you this. Did you get a standard truck? Did you get a big, what kind of ton truck, chassis truck did you get?
It was a Ford extended, what's that big one? That big one they have, SUV.
You got the Excursion?
Yeah, that's all they had available.
That's my
car.
I love the Excursion.
Yeah.
I don't own an Excursion.
Yeah, it was nice.
Yeah, but let me tell you something. If somebody has a limited 2003 7.3 Excursion out there in white with gold trim, you need to call me. I want me an Excursion. I love the Excursion. Oh my God! I mean,
this was a brand new one. I don't think it had more than 12 miles on it.
Jeez,
it was brand new right off the line.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh,
White extended XLT, I think it is. Yeah.
Sure.
It was a big machine.
I absolutely love it. I mean, I absolutely love the Excursion. Good sir, with the Excursion, were you started driving? You hopped into it. How far did you drive when you hopped into it?
We got to Daytona. I had gotten out maybe 3 times, and to take over.
So, how long does it take to drive from Florida to Alabama?
I think about maybe 7 or 8 hours.
Okay. Now, I know the answer to that because I have what's called a Facebook Marketplace problem. Let me tell you, I buy used stuff, and I just, I need that. And like literally tomorrow morning at 8 a.m., I'm going to be driving south to go pick up a 45-pound stainless steel anchor. So let me ask you this. All right. Now, you see what I did there? Yeah.
And actually, Walter, she actually took over in Jacksonville, around the Jacksonville area, because I had gotten out about maybe 6 or 7 times. I just remember that. I remember in Daytona, she wanted to take over, but I kept saying I would do it. Around the Jacksonville area, she took over. Yeah. And I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, you're doing good. So let me ask you this. When I said you hopped into the Excursion, what was your, did that just, did you hear a ringing bell, or was that something that didn't stand out to you?
It might gave me issues because I hadn't had the surgery. So my hip and my right knee gave me issues. So I might have seen some stars, but I decided to go on and try to drive. I wanted to drive the truck.
Okay. Now, I understand that because when I said you hopped into it, Excursions are high off the ground because Excursions are a big vehicle. Right. So that means you got to be able to say to the judge, because I put words in your mouth. You got to say to the judge, "No, Your Honor, I didn't hop into the Excursion. I had to pull myself in slowly. I had a hard time getting into it. It was very difficult." Then you're going to go into, between Jacksonville and here, it's 3 hours. I had to get out and stretch my legs and move around 6 times. I was on these pain medications at these points. The trip's supposed to take 3 hours to get to that point. It took 4 hours. You want to go through and outline all of the little details as to why you couldn't do something that was functional related to, getting from point A to point B. And with vehicles, when I hear people say trucks, first thing I want to know is, was it a little truck? Are we talking about a cute little Nissan? Was it a big truck? Are we talking about, something that's might even be bigger than an F350? It might be a 450, a 550. Was it a Freightliner? Was it a Mack truck? What kind of truck was it? When you were driving back in the day, when you had these impairments and you were claiming these impairments, were you driving a bigger truck? Was that part of your thing? And then a thing I like to throw in there, well, tell me, what kind of trucking license do you have? Do you have a specialty license? Now, here's the thing I would follow up with your claim if I were a judge and I was in a good mood because I didn't have my bagel that morning, I was missing cream cheese or whatever, and I was unhappy. I would then go into, well, do you have a motorcycle endorsement on your license?
Right. And I would tell them no.
Perfect. So do you have a heavy equipment license or certification on your license?
I do not.
Do you own a rider mower?
No, sir.
Do you own a tractor?
No.
Okay. Do you have a bicycle that you use from time to time?
I have a bicycle, but it's in the shed. I can't drive. I can't ride a bicycle because my knee won't allow it to go all around in full motion. And if it does, then I'll probably be disabled. Really disabled, can't walk around, can't do anything for about a week.
All right, so here's where I would tack this claim. Now, you live in a house, correct?
Yes, sir.
Single story, double story?
A single floor.
Single floor, okay. Are there any steps going in and out of it?
No.
Okay. You have a garage, right?
Yes, sir.
In the garage, you have ladders, you have little things like that. Do you own a ladder?
No. Oh, yes, I do. Actually, it's my neighbor's. But,
Okay.
He actually used it to come over to do something for me on my roof, and he left it here. So it's been here for over a year, so I basically say I own it.
I also have one of those ladders, and I treasure it, and by that I mean I beat the hell out of it. So I totally understand. All right, so let me ask you this then. When it comes to the ladder, you borrowed it from your neighbor, you used it recently. What'd you use it for?
Well, actually, I did. He actually brought it over to do something for me because I couldn't get on it.
Smart.
There
Good.
was something on the roof that he just wanted to put some paste on the roof before we got the roof replaced.
Good.
Tar, I'm sorry.
Okay, perfect. So when it comes to where you live, how far away do you live from the grocery store?
Mile and a half.
Mile and a half? Okay. So that means you're not walking there. You're not taking a small like RTV, UTV, anything like that. You're going there in a vehicle.
Yes.
Now here, I'm just going to summarize and tell you the trick to this whole thing. Blame everything that you truthfully can on your wife doing it. Groceries, cooking, laundry, dealing with the kids, punishing the kids again. All those details. Blame it on your wife because she has to be the one that can do functional tests. I'm assuming, does the wife still work?
No.
Okay. Is she also impaired or disabled?
Yes.
Okay. So then you got to be careful because if she has her disability benefits, and remember, is she VA as well?
No, she hasn't. She doesn't have this disability.
Okay. So then you got to be careful with what you blame on her because that can be used against her for her adjudication.
Exactly.
Now you're an older gent. Twitter account?
No, I've got one, but I haven't been on it in probably 3-4 years.
Okay, gotcha.
My LinkedIn account, last time I was on it when I was working,
Okay.
it was a year ago, and then I disabled it. I deleted it because it doesn't do me good.
Okay.
I have a Facebook account that's been shut down for maybe 5 years now.
Mhm.
And the other account, the Twitter, I have a Twitter account. I've never gone on it.
So do you have a pool at your house?
A cooler?
A pool, a Pool.
Oh, no, sir, I don't.
Do you have a hot tub?
No.
Okay. Now, where I would have gone with those is who cleans the pool? How do you get in and out of the hot tub? Things like that.
Right.
Okay, good. So, all right, let me ask you this. If you receive the benefits, how would you use them?
The benefits?
Yeah, if you got the check every month in the health
how would I-
insurance.
Well, would probably just, after I pay my tithing, I would just save and then purchase the things that need to be purchased around the house, and, making sure the house is taken care of, making sure food is on the table.
When you say the house is taken care of, what do you mean?
I just recently had to have an electrician to come around and just install the light on the outside. I had to have an electrician to come around and install another light about maybe 6 months ago. Those kind of things. I just tried to get the lawn guy to do some work in the front yard and waiting on for him to give me a cost to see if we can afford it.
So remember, when it comes to upkeep of house, the first thing my brain went to is, what are you repairing? What tools do you own? Let's go into air tools. Let's go into hand tools. Let's go into background and knowledge. He worked for a hotel. He obviously knows repair people. He's obviously done repairs. So that's where my brain went. Keep in mind, you just switched it to hiring electricians, hiring professionals to do it. Make sure you hit it with that right up front. Otherwise, it's going to look like to me you're taking money that's for your medical and general upkeep to specifically fix up the house for other people, including your wife.
All right.
Perfect. So good, sir. Let me ask you this. The last job you had was the hotel job. What other types of jobs have you had within the past 15 years?
Well, I actually tried doing photography, and that didn't work out too well. Just being a photographer. I worked on a warehouse, actually. Worked in a warehouse, and I think it just got worse working in there. It got to the point where it was tough for me to live, so they actually transferred me into a different department, and I went into a IT department, and couldn't quite keep up with that as time went on. To learning, keeping up, trying to catch up on the new things, and I ended up getting laid off. What else I've done? I was a driver, believe it or not, business to business, and of course, that was really where I really had started having to get out of the car and stretch my knee. It was every 30 minutes or so, and then maybe even 45 minutes I could drive. But one time I could drive 2-3 hours, or more. But as time went on, my knees started deteriorating.
Sure.
And things of that sort. So,
were you
the job I recently?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, good sir.
No, the job I recently had, I was laid off because of the inability to maintain the managerial responsibilities, and that was all they told me.
Were you a Hasselblad, a Nikon, a Canon? What type of camera person were you?
Actually, Canon. Canon. Everything was Canon. Everybody who worked with me had to have a Canon.
Were you using L series glass? What kind of glass were you using?
L's.
Very nice. What was your favorite lens?
The 1628. But
for your portraits?
Actually, that was a Sigma. I used a 85. I think it was 80 or
1.2. Sure.
Yeah.
85 millimeter f1.2. Beautiful lens. I used to own one and use it all the time.
Yes, sir.
So walk me through this. What kind of lighting would you use?
We occasionally use the flash, of course, bouncing it off the ceiling. Then there were the JTLs we would use for portrait shots.
Gotcha. Okay. All right. So what I'm doing right now, and I'm not going to take you down the whole line because it takes a while. What I'm doing right now is I'm showing that not only do you have good memory when it comes to long-term memory, but you have good technical working memory. The next question I would go into is how you would set up your stage to take photos of things. And that would show me that you have step-by-step analysis abilities, which means that I could give you like a recipe to cook a meal. I could give you the requirement to set up a shoot for something, and you would be able to step-by-step set it up. And the reason why it's important is we look at, okay, is this a 1 to 3 step thing to do it? Is this a 3 to 5? Is this a 5 to 7? Is this a 7 to 9? How many steps does it take for you to be able to do that? And if you can do those things by memory, then what is to stop you from doing them physically? It's like somebody going to school for something. If you can go to school for it, what is to limit you from doing it physically thereafter in a vocational setting? So,
all right.
Okay, perfect. Now, walk me through this. All right, you talked about other jobs. You talked about a driving job. When are you expecting to leave leave the state the next time?
I actually hadn't had any plans, to be honest with you.
Okay. So no plans to leave the state. By the way, I just want to point out before we go into this next portion, you're doing really well. You're a gentleman that has not been prepared by an attorney for a hearing. Your answers are very believable. They're very straightforward. I support a lot of the things that you're saying because you come off as a highly truthful individual, which a lot of my claimants I have difficulty with. They come off as a little here, a little there, yada, yada. Your answers have been straightforward, honest. I believe you. I think you're a genuine person. I would find you disabled, but I would find you disabled not through a vocational allowance. I would find you disabled through a gridding allowance specifically for sedentary work and light work. Now, do you know what grids are?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay, so there's 4 main ways to be found disabled. You are not a CAL, compassion allowance listing. You might be a 1.02 or a 1.03. 1.03 is the weight-bearing one. 1.02 is just the joints in general. And the 1.04 is the spine. You might be a 1.03 musculoskeletal listing, element 3 of the 5-step sequential, which means that basically you would listing out at element 3. If it were me and I have this claim, what I would do is I would go ahead and seek a vocational allowance and a gridding allowance. Okay, so what I want you to do later is look up the grids. They're disability grids. Look up for a person between 55 and 59 in the day before 60. And then look at your education, then look at your skilled work that you used to do, and basically, look at, your current setting of what you could potentially do and see if you would actually grid out in that sense. So let me ask you this. What education do you have? Did you finish high school?
I did.
Did you finish college?
No, sir, I didn't.
How many years of college did you try?
Well, I only went 2 months of college.
2 months of college. What happened?
Just couldn't quite get it. Couldn't quite keep up with the academics. There was only one that I could keep up, which was called speech, I think it was.
Mm-hmm.
I did okay in that, but with the math, I think it was algebra or whatever.
Sure.
Those things were a little bit too complicated for me to try to keep up.
Yeah, the things that we use on a daily basis with our work every single day of our life. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I don't use algebra either. I mean, accounting, I don't use it. When it comes, this is interesting. The only time I use X to find it as a variance to compare against other numbers is when I'm trying to figure out how much I want to spend on something that's on eBay compared to what it is in other store locations. That's the only time in my life I use algebra for eBay, which is sad. So, all right. So you've got basically a high school education. You don't have transferable skills. You are between 55 and 59 and day before 60. I would have gridded you out. You should grid out. I don't know why you got a denial. So I would go ask your attorney about which gridding you fit into and why they didn't find you disabled for that. I would ask them why you don't fit particularly well into the TBI listing or the weight-bearing joint listing, which is your 1.03 musculoskeletal. I would ask them specifically. Now, here's another thing, too. You haven't talked a lot about depression. You haven't talked a lot about, for example, anxiety or panic attacks. Are those on the table?
Yes, sir. The anxiety.
Okay. Anxiety. Now, you tell me in your own words, and remember, a judge might ask this, and claimants give a really bad answer for it. What is anxiety to you?
I have this thing where I always think something is going to happen, and I start getting my heartbeat starts beating up really fast, and my hand starts to sweat. That's pretty much it. And then also I think I have like a shortness of breath or whatever, or it's hard to breathe. I don't know if it's shortness of breath or just because my heart's beating fast, kind of like right now. And then I have to catch my breath and everything. And a lot of times I get a little dizzy during that time.
So let's go through that real quick. when you talk about anxiety, that was an excellent summary, but I had no emotional connection to why you have it. None at all. I didn't know if this was something that you've been struggling with for an extended period because of a particular story or situation that happened to you. I didn't know if this was something that you had from your VA background that had a specific instance, a PTSD sort of instance occur. I had no emotional connection to you. So you tell me, what story in your past delivers an emotional punch about the anxiety that you have?
Well, I mean, it is a little personal, and because I've given a lot of information on this public forum, I kind of wouldn't want to, put that out there. But in this during this conversation I had with you, I've been considering just going on, like you said, and fire my attorney and see if I could actually hire someone like you or yourself.
Sure. Okay, so the big focus here is that a lot of claimants that go back in time to the VA benefits have some form of PTSD, which is broken into two categories of modern day occurrence. That's they're awake and they get flashbacks, or they're asleep and they get nightmares. And those two are always or usually recurrent, right? So it's the same memory that pops up every so often. It's the same nightmare that pops up so often. The most important part of your claim is building off of the foundation of your PTSD memory as to why you have anxiety, which is why you can't function in a vocational setting around other individuals, because you get off task. You may not be aggressive or hostile towards them. You may not forget what you're doing right then and all the time, but sometimes it makes you forget what you're doing. And that is so important, because military guys, you're tougher than the average person in America. And so what that means is that you tend to hide those things that cause the memories, those impairments from other people. It's like a female claimant. One of the first questions I always ask right up front, is there sexual abuse in your past? Right? Because they're not going to tell me otherwise. I got to go all the way to a hearing for a judge, a female judge, to make them feel comfortable enough to tell me, hey, I have sexual abuse in my history as a female. Males, especially in the Army, there's memories. Realize how long I was on the phone with you. I was on the phone with you for 50 minutes. Good sir, do you have any questions for me that I can help you out with before I pop off this phone call and take another one?
Actually, I was going to contact you personally after I get rid of my current attorney firm.
Sure.
And see if there's any room in your, that you can help me out with my claim.
Absolutely, good sir. This is a claim that shouldn't be difficult to win. What I would say is this: shoot me a quick email. What I'm looking for is basically name, phone number, and then what I'll do is I'll send the forms over to you. We'll get you rolling in the right direction. And the main focus is we want to grid you out. We want a listing analysis for 2 particular listings, and we want a potential for a vocational allowance. And we didn't get a chance to talk about DOTs. DOT is a dictionary of occupational titles. It's a big book that talks about jobs in the national economy. I'm going to show you how to look up the jobs you used to have, and then we're going to write out a 795 for each job to explain why yours was a little bit different, how they gave you accommodations at each job, which is why you can no longer do each job in the national economy based upon the DOT requirements.
Excellent.
Perfect. Good, sir. Have a wonderful night. Stay healthy, and I will catch up with you later.
All right. Thank you, sir, for your time. Be safe, and you'll be getting an email from me pretty much within the hour.
Thank you, good sir. Have a wonderful night. Bye-bye.
Yes.